Welcome to Namawise. Today, we're unpacking one of the most profound statements ever made in the world of philosophy. All I know is that I know nothing. Who said it? Why is it so important? And what did it really mean? Let's explore. When we think of wisdom, a few names come to mind: Plato, Aristotle, and, of course, Socrates. But it's this phrase, all I know is that I know nothing, that has resonated through the centuries and left people wondering, what did Socrates actually mean? Now we all know Socrates as one of the greatest philosophers of all time, but when he said, I know nothing, was he just being humble? Or was there something deeper at play? Let's dive in and find out. Socrates, born in Athens around 470 BC, and wasn't your typical philosopher. He didn't sit in a library writing endless scrolls. Socrates believed that true knowledge could only come from one thing: dialogue. Through conversations with the people around him, he pushed them to question their assumptions and think for themselves. Socrates didn't just ask questions. He made people think in ways they'd never considered before. So how did the famous phrase come to be? Here's the twist. It's not a brag about humility. You see, Socrates didn't claim to be wise at all. In fact, he took a more radical approach. The Delphic oracle once proclaimed that Socrates was the wisest man alive. But Socrates, being the skeptic he was, decided to test this claim. He spoke to the politicians, the poets, the artisans, anyone who thought they knew something important. And guess what he found? They were all convinced of their wisdom, but none of them could answer the big questions about life, about virtue, and about the universe. They all seemed wise, but when pressed, their knowledge crumbled. Socrates, on the other hand, admitted his ignorance. He didn't claim to have all the answers. He simply knew he didn't know everything. And that was his wisdom. Now, let's break it down. What did Socrates actually mean by all I know is that I know nothing? It's a paradox, right? On the surface, it sounds contradictory. How can someone claim to know nothing and still be considered wise? Well, think about it this way. Socrates wasn't claiming total ignorance. Instead, he was acknowledging the limits of human knowledge. Think about it. How many times have you held firm to a belief, only to later realize you were wrong? Socrates was urging us to question everything, even our most deeply held beliefs. By admitting we don't know everything, we open ourselves up to learning. We leave room for growth. Socrates wasn't just saying, I know nothing, in a humble way. He was saying that true wisdom comes from acknowledging what we don't know. It's about being open to learning, to new perspectives, to being wrong. And this idea is just as relevant today as it was in ancient Greece. In a world where everyone has an opinion and a platform to share it, how often do we really stop and ask ourselves, do I really know this? Are we open to rethinking our assumptions? Or do we just cling to what we've always believed? Socrates' statement challenges us all. It tells us true wisdom is not in knowing everything, it's in recognizing how much there is to know. It's about the relentless pursuit of truth, knowing that the journey of understanding never truly ends. Imagine living life with that mindset. Instead of thinking we have all the answers, we embrace the uncertainty. We question, we listen, and we grow. So what did Socrates mean by all I know is that I know nothing? It's not a contradiction. It's an invitation. An invitation to embrace our ignorance, to question everything, and to continue the never-ending quest for knowledge. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, the more we learn, the more we realize how much there is still to know. Stay curious, question everything, and as always, be wise in your search for truth. And Don't forget to subscribe for more thought-provoking discussions and philosophical explorations.